In this video, we're going to build a recruitment funnel using Involve Me. So to get started, go to your Involve Me dashboard. We're going to go to the templates here on the top, and we're going to search for recruitment funnel. Now, all you have to do is select recruitment funnel, and we can go ahead and click choose. And this is going to build out a funnel for us with all of the functionality that we need. So I'm going to name this recruitment funnel no code MBA test. You can name it anything that you want. You can see here that by default, this funnel is set up as an answer-based outcome. And the answer-based outcome is where we're going to send users to a different final page based on the answers that they select, which is different from a score-based outcome, which is more of a graded quiz where we can do math to calculate their score. So you'll see kind of how simple this is when we get started. So we'll go ahead and click Start Editing. And here we are. So I'm going to walk you through this template, explain everything about how it's set up, and this is going to give you the knowledge to customize this template or build your own answer-based funnels in the future if you'd like. So the first thing that you need to know is here on the left side, the bottom left, we have all of the pages, and you can kind of scroll through all pages. There's 14 pages here. In this funnel, we are basically collecting information about potential applicants, and then based on their information, we're going to send them to one of two outcome pages. One is an unqualified page, which is basically letting them know that they are not qualified for this position. And then the other is a qualified page where we are going to allow them to schedule a 30-minute meeting for, let's say it's kind of a next step in the interview process. So it's a good way to kind of filter people in and out. These, if you click on this kind of gear here next to qualified and unqualified, we can see these are the outcome settings. And this is where you can see the two different outcomes, and then we have different questions that are assigned to each outcome, which we'll get to as I start explaining the funnel in more detail. Also, we can add pages, so if you wanted to have more outcomes and more potential pages that we could send someone to, you can do that here on the bottom right. So if you're starting this from scratch, you would just add your thank you pages, and you could add more by adding pages here, the same way that you add kind of funnel pages here on the left side. So first I'm going to show you the start page. This is the first page built into the template. So these elements should be familiar since we've already created a simple funnel in the previous lesson, but you can see kind of different elements are already built onto the page, such as an image. This is just an image upload that you can add. You can have a text field. Something to be aware of with these text fields is you can add markdown. So these are these kind of two asterisks on either side of join, which is making it be bold. If you just Google markdown, kind of markdown formatting, you can see all of the different types of markdown formatting that you can add. Because it has this little markdown icon, you know that it will work here. Same with the subline text, it has markdown available. And then here, this is an image choice. So if we go to choices, you can see there are single image choice, multiple image choice. This is a single image choice. Here, that just allows you to upload an image in addition to text. And then what this is doing is either going to send the user to the More About Us page or the Apply Now, which is just directly to the page 3, which is the beginning of the application. So page 2 is just kind of a page with more information about the company. And then once you click apply, it's going to take you to that next page, which is the name. So first, we're asking for the first name. And then once we hit start application, it sends us to the next page, which is email. Here, we already did this in the last video, so you can add that dynamic field by clicking on this button in the top right. So here we're adding in the first name dynamic field. One thing to be aware of is here in the template, they used a contact form element, which allows you to select kind of pre-selected options that are specific to contact, such as first name, email, things like that. And this also has kind of validation on emails and things like that. So this is different, a little different from what we did in our previous video. But the best practice here is to use the contact form element, which if you go down to, if you search for contact form or contact info, it's the best practice to use these for contact information, which is different from what we did in our first video. So if we go back to the next page, email, you can see they're using that dynamic field. And then we can go to the next one. And this, I'm going to start talking about how the answer weighting and logic comes into play, and helps basically at the end of the quiz basically filter the applicant either into unqualified or qualified. So essentially, whichever page has more points by the end of the quiz is where we're going to be sending that user at the end. So if we go back to interest and we click on that, so there's a couple of things I want to highlight here. So first of all, if we go down, we can see that they just have added kind of the text and image for each of these 4 image choices, and you can add more image choices if you'd like as well. But the main thing I want to talk about here is individual score and calculation is turned on. Now, by doing that, when we go down to each choice, so first of all, we need to map either to unqualified, qualified, or no outcome mapped if you just don't want anything to be mapped to the outcome. But because this is mapped to qualified, and actually all of them are mapped to qualified, this is going to add points to the qualified basically tally. And again, by the end, we're going to count up how many points are on unqualified, how many are unqualified. So these are all adding qualified, but the ownership and the growth options are going to give 2 points, while the other flexibility and meaning are only going to give 1 point. So this is how you can kind of change the weights. Or let's say I really care about ownership, I can make that 10 points. So you can kind of change the amount of points that are going to be added up for each option here. Then if we go to the next one, geo, again, we're going to click individual scores and calculation in order to add different weights. And then we also have a logic jump under click behavior. And this is important to call out as well. This under click behavior allows you to either just continue to the next page or have different answers jump to different pages. And you'll see why we do that in a second. So there's 2 options here if you reside in the US or abroad. Now, if you reside in the US, we are adding a point to qualified. If you reside abroad, we're adding 5 points to unqualified. So this is kind of weighted pretty heavily, showing that we care a lot about people being based in the US. And then if we go to below, you can see where the logic jump is going. So for US, we're going to skip residency, relocation, and work permit and go straight to page 10, which is motivation. But if you reside abroad, we are going to go to the next page, which is residency. So here, residency, we're just finding out what country they reside in, and this is the contact form. So we don't have to worry about, it'll already have the countries kind of pre-filled, which is really helpful. Then we're going to go to relocate. So do you plan to relocate to the US? Here, again, we have individual scoring calculation turned on, and we also have logic jump turned on. So here, again, if they say no, we are going to say unqualified and weight that at 30 points. So that's, we're going to add a lot of points to being unqualified if they don't plan to relocate. So this is, in the instance that you really need someone to be located in the US for this job. If they say yes, we are going to add a point to qualified and then jump them to work permit. So here, it's the same type of thing where it's an individual score and calculation. And if they say yes, they do have a work permit for the US, then we are going to add a point for qualified. But if they don't, we're going to add 30 points unqualified and basically add that to the total. So again, showing that we really care about them being in the US. And a reminder that at the end of the quiz, whichever kind of option has more points is where we're going to send them to at the end of the quiz. So let's go to motivation. This is just like we did in the first example, really basic example. It's a text answer. This, in our example, we did single line, but this is a text area input. Yeah, very simple here. We're just kind of collecting information for years. This is experience. And if we see, we have individual score and calculation turned on again. And here, we have, if you have 2 or less years of experience, we're adding unqualified to weight 30. So we're adding a high amount of points to unqualified. So it's going to be basically impossible to overcome that 30 unqualified with anything else. So it's going to push you into unqualified. But for the others, we're saying qualified, and we're going to give you more points depending on how many years of work experience that you have. Next, for tools here. We have individual score and calculation turned off. And then as you can see here, we just want to collect this information. We have no outcome mapped for all of them. And just something to be aware of is you need one of these to be selected. Otherwise, you get an error when you actually publish the quiz. So we have no outcome mapped for all of them. We're just collecting the information. There's another text answer here, just asking if there's any other tools they've used. Next, availability. When can you start? Again, we're not going to actually weight this. We just want to know the answers. But if you wanted, you could map, if they're willing to start, not willing to start in these next 3 months, then you could map this to unqualified and make it, if you wanted to have individual score and calculation, you could set that to 30. If you have that unchecked, it's just by default going to be 1 point. Then we have resume. So it's just showing you kind of the granularity and kind of all of the variety of types of forms that and elements you can add to these funnels. So we can upload files. You can select what types of file types, the file size, all sorts of things like that. There's an opt-in checkbox, which is really helpful. If you search opt-in, it's under legal and security here, just allowing you to kind of have those types of things, which can be really important in some countries. And then submit application. So when we hit submit application, we're going to go to the next page. Now, if there's no next page, it just immediately is going to jump to the outcome settings. And then it's going to send you either to the unqualified page if all of your points for unqualified is higher. And it just says, thanks for applying, but it's not currently a match. And if it's qualified, like we showed before, it is going to send you to this page. So hopefully this was a helpful overview to show you how to build funnels that incorporate scoring logic so that it will send the user to one specific page based on the scoring after the quiz is filled out. This can also be really helpful for things like personality quizzes, if you want to do lead generation quizzes like that. But there are a lot of different use cases that you could apply this to. In the next video, we're going to build a lead generation calculator and develop a price quote calculator, which I think you're going to find really interesting and helpful. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.